The attorneys walk? Like the little walk? The attorneys walk?
It's in notice to be Thursday night.
Oh.
6 o'clock. Here, village in the town. So, executive session.
Mary Ellen said that did not go out.
Okay.
Go there, I'll call her tomorrow to get it mailed. I mean,
Okay.
mail what they need.
Just didn't get mailed. Okay. I know she's on vacation.
I'd like to make a motion to come out of executive session and back into the regular meeting.
I'll
Second.
Seconded by Mary.
Mary.
Call the question?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, so moved.
The supervisor, you want to let the record reflect that Councilman Cologne had to leave early, he's not here?
Yes,
We've already got that in the minutes already.
and he did want to apologize to the public, the people in attendance and the residents for having to leave early. Okay, Smith Farm Water District. We will be having, Mike or Mary, you want to talk about this? It's up to you.
Go ahead.
All right, there'll be a special meeting this Thursday, 6 p.m. here at the Senior Center, a joint meeting with the Village of Monroe Village Board in regard to the Smith Farms project, and so I'd ask that the clerk notice that. It'll be an executive session, but we will open it up as a normal meeting, as a regular meeting, and then adjourn it to executive session with the village board to discuss that project. And one of the reasons being is that there is pending litigation and other issues that because of that litigation need to be discussed in private.
Okay?
Good.
So I will make a motion to hold a meeting on Thursday, March 1st,
I'll second that
6
motion.
o'clock here at the Senior Center, sorry. Seconded by Councilman McGinn. Any other discussion? Call the question?
Aye.
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 Okay. Monroe Conservation Commission vacancies. So we have
We have a new
a new
Person.
applicant. Ward, would you like to come up to the mic?
Ward Brower, Conservation Commission, yes.
So we have an applicant, Nina Petito,
Right.
who is your secretary.
She's been our secretary, volunteer, doesn't take a dime.
Yep.
She's been on many of our walks, so she wants to advance just beyond, still do the secretary for free and be a member. So I said, well, you make every meeting, which says a lot, because if you have, and you've been around long enough to know, the attrition rate on Conservation Commission is the highest of any board going in the town of Monroe. If you get 6 months out of them, that's a veteran.
Okay.
So, and she's been there with us 3.5 years, something like that, so.
All right.
Good
That's fine.
participant, does her homework, good person.
Okay. So I will make a motion.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ward. I will make a motion to approve Nina Petito's appointment to the Conservation Commission.
And that's a 2-year term.
And Mary Ellen, do you happen to have, and I apologize.
The term that she would be filling would expire 12/31/2019.
Okay. For a term to expire on 12/31/2019. So we need a second.
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilman Scancarello. Any other discussion? No? Call the question?
Aye.
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 Okay, so moved. Yep, you're welcome. Other new business, Councilman McGinn, background checks for board members.
Yeah, we've, not just the town board, but the other boards that the town has, planning, zoning, conservation, and this is strictly a criminal background check, not doing financials or anything like that, but basically just to make sure that anyone that applies for these positions has a does not have a criminal record. And so we make that motion that all current and future either elected or appointed officials undergo a criminal background check.
Okay, I'll second that. Any other discussion? Call the question?
Aye.
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 Okay, so moved. Okay, we have a request from Glenwood 1 and 2. Isaac Walter would like to close out Glenwood 1's escrow account, which is $37.35. Glenwood 2, he would like to withdraw $4,600 of it, which there's a little over $5,700 in it, and he would like to put it in the Glenwood 2 escrow account number 16-002. He would like to put that $4,600 in the Glenwood 2 post-planning account, which would leave a balance in the Glenwood 2 account of $1,049.75. And that post-planning would be for future bills with the balance to be paid back to him at the completion of the project. So we would need a resolution to do that. This has been reviewed by Mark Etzel, McGooey Hauser and Etzel, and I believe, Mr. Nugent, you've reviewed it as well?
Yeah, there's no problem with the transfer as long as Mr. Etzel's satisfied with the amounts.
Yeah, and he was.
Oh, do we have that in writing, or is that just phone call?
I believe it was vocal through Noreen, and I confirmed it with Noreen
I
this
know you were
afternoon.
going to speak to Noreen.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Yep.
Then I'll
So-
second.
So seconded by Mary. I'm sorry, Councilwoman Bingham.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Or call the question?
Aye.
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 Okay, so moved. You got the next one, right?
Okay, Board of Assessment Review. Well, no, the assessors, excuse me, 4.8. In the assessor's office, there's going to,
Oh, see, I don't even have that. I didn't get the new one. Okay.
okay, I can do this one too.
Okay.
In the assessor's office, we have a resignation from Moses. That means there's going to be a position open, and it's going to have to be decided if it's going to be a part-time or a full-time position. So I believe Moses was full-time,
Moses is full-time.
yeah.
The thought process there was that she would possibly hire 2 part-timers and in lieu of 1 full-timer. I would like to, have the board discuss that. That's why it was added to the agenda.
I'd like to make a motion that we table it until Councilman Cologne is here next week and
Okay.
discuss it at that time.
All right, I'll second that.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, item 4.9, appointment to the Board of Assessment Review.
All right, there are 2 openings. One would be to approve Aileen Silver. She's a town resident and lived here for many years. And then the other appointment, which would be on 4.10, I guess we'd make it 2 separate resolutions, would be for Laura Fernandez. Again, she's lived in the community for a number of years, has a good business sense, and very committed. So I guess the first motion I'd like to make is to appoint Aileen Silver to the Board of Assessment Review.
I'll second that. Any other discussion? Call the question?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, so moved.
And then the second one would be Laura Fernandez. I'd make that motion that she be appointed to the Board of Assessment Review.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? Call the question?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Are they present here this evening? I
think
know, I see Laura's here.
Laura's
Laura's
here.
here.
Aileen, is Aileen here?
No.
No.
All right. Well, listen, thank
Okay.
you very much for your service and for stepping up. We certainly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for stepping up.
Thank you.
And just so you know, because I see Rosemary back there, the training is 6 to 9 p.m. on April 24th.
Oh, I have it in my emails.
I will confirm that with you. The only thing that's not confirmed is whether it's going to be at the new county building or their old offices, because they're not sure whether they're going to have the chairs over there yet. So I had
Someone
spoken
take
to...
them?
Right.
What's
And
that?
they-
Might someone take them?
No, the
Got
new one's
delivered.
in.
And if you could please come into the town hall when you fill out the paperwork, stop by the town clerk's office so we can do your oth of office. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Once again, thank you very much for
Thank you.
stepping up there. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, 411, 2017 audit. This is essentially something that came up at the Association of Towns meeting with our accounting firm, O'Connor Davies. They were there. We had a brief conversation pertaining to the 16 audit, which they have commenced. They will be here most likely towards the end of March to finish up the preliminary aspect of the audit. And they thought that since they were there, they would like to continue and begin the process of the 2017 audit. I would like to get a price from them. Their professional services, they're already there. And just so everyone is aware, the bid price for the 15 and 16 audits was $35,000 a year. They have confirmed with me that due to all the delays and issues regarding the 15 audit, they will be just issuing a draft because we could not get members of the previous board to sign off on accusations of fraud that they had made. And they have billed for that audit, not to us, but if we were billed regularly, they billed over $100,000 because of the delays. So just to make everyone aware and be transparent with that fact. So I would like to have the board basically approve next week. I will get a price for 2017, but I think it would be in our best interest since they're already here and they're already moving forward on things.
Right, and they already know our system.
Yes. Okay.
So we'll table that till our next
Yeah,
meeting.
we'll table that to next meeting. Yep. Okay. Councilman McGinn, membership for New York Government Finance Officers Association.
I thought we approved this already.
No, we
No.
approved the
Oh, the ad?
the national.
Oh, the national.
This is the state one,
Oh,
and
okay.
it's $750.
No, 170.
170. Sorry.
And it's up for
Right.
up to three people, I believe.
Yeah, I'm going to make a motion that we this is a an organization that most financial officers in government, local, town, city government belong to. It's a good organization. It's a good resource for.
Excuse me. Can I ask you guys to please refrain from speaking? I feel like I'm in second grade again because it's constantly going on during the evening. Thank you.
So this is a recognized organization that most financial officers and cities, towns, and villages belong to. It's a great resource for controllers, bookkeepers, treasurers, and I had actually spoke to a previous commissioner of finance for this county, and he was kind of shocked that we didn't belong to this organization. I think previously, prior to the current controller, we did belong to it at one time. So for $170 a year, it's a good, it's money well spent, taxpayers' money well spent, and it's something that we should join and would probably help us down the road with a number of things in our number of areas in our finances.
Right, and also it's the New York chapter, so they're going to specifically understand what the New York regulations are.
Yep, they're
So
up in
I'm
Albany, and, yeah,
very
they're-
much in favor of being in with this chapter.
Yes, absolutely.
So are you making a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve the membership fee of $170 to join the NYG FOA, New York Government Finance Officers Association.
And I'll second.
Any other discussion? Call the question.
Aye.
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 Okay, so moved. I noticed there's a big contingency from the ambulance corps here. So we're going to begin public comment, and have any of you signed up for public comment?
Yes, Nancy signed up first.
Okay, so can we limit your speaker to one?
I was just going to bring Alan and finish it.
That's fine, that's fine. We just didn't want 8 people from the ambulance corps coming up.
No, it's just me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Nancy Pfeiffer from Monroe Ambulance, along with Alan Glass, our treasurer.
Hi.
There you go. Good evening. We're here for 2 reasons tonight. The first of which is to present the board with the 2018 contract, which has been signed and notarized. For you.
Thank you.
We're hoping for a quick and amicable resolution to this situation, which has been going on way too long and benefiting no one. Even though we have been without a contract with the town for 2 years, we have and will continue to provide the same high-quality care to our community. In 2017, we were dispatched to 1,400-plus calls and stood by at 42 events, both in Monroe and other communities around the county. To date, we have handled 240, now 241, calls in 2018. Last year, the town board made a generous contribution to the ambulance corps, which made it possible for us to purchase 2 Argo vehicles. Since that time, we have put lights and sirens on both vehicles, purchased helmets and life vests, and outfitted the trailer as a mobile command center. Unfortunately, in this day and age, we must be prepared for the unthinkable. We sincerely thank you for your willingness to supply us with the equipment necessary to care for our community and the community at large. The other reason for our visit this evening is to reassure you and the community that after the article that appeared in the Times Herald Record yesterday, I don't know if you saw it. Oh, no. I'm so sorry. The front cover of the Times Herald Record is entitled "Distress Call, Region Dangerously Short on EMTs." It's a 3-page article. You can have it.
Thank you. I did not see this.
It's definitely worth the read. It's scary. Our other reason for visiting you this evening is to reassure you and the community, after that article appeared. While we acknowledge that there is truly a shortage of not only EMTs, but volunteers as well throughout the county, state, and country as a whole. This shortage affects both volunteer and paid agencies as well. We are extremely fortunate in Monroe. Monroe Volunteer Ambulance Corps continues to be a very strong corps as we celebrate 70 years of caring for our community. In just the last year, we have had 6 of our members go on to become EMTs. Alan Glass, Wayne Jones, Allie Backus, Hugh Roden, Jasmine Van Doren, and Brandon Pfeiffer. We are also fortunate enough to have taken in 2 new EMTs to our membership, as well as numerous drivers, many of whom will hopefully go on to become EMTs. We also have an EMT renewal program and numerous CPR instructors within our organization to ensure that everyone's certifications remain up to date. Last month, we added 14 new junior members to our existing junior corps. They are the future of Monroe Ambulance. Our junior members are students at Monroe Woodbury High School and are led by Mr. Wayne Chan. Speaking of Wayne Chan and the dedication of our members, he has recently reached a milestone in that he has taken over 3,000 calls in his volunteer career with us. I do believe that a round of applause is in order for such an extraordinary achievement.
Thank you, Wayne.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Wayne. You can stand up so people see who you are.
Get him on camera. We've never had a member reach that milestone before. It is quite extraordinary. While we are here tonight to speak about the Ambulance Corps, we would be remiss not to acknowledge the volunteer firefighters who protect our town and villages as well. Living in this community, we are truly blessed to be protected and cared for by our friends and neighbors who volunteer their time, talents, and service to the people who call Monroe their home, as well as to those who pass through. In closing, we respectfully request a swift resolution to this contract negotiation and hope that any concerns that the article in the paper may have caused have been put to rest. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any
Mr. Nugent,
questions for us?
Yes.
any questions regarding the contract?
I mean, this is the contract that the attorney for the ambulance corps had changed. It's different language than what the town had been in the past. The contract you have signed for 16, I believe, and 17 is the contract that you have had with the ambulance corps for decades, as far as I know. So this is a different contract. You want to sign the 16 one, you certainly can. I mean, even though the years are past, we still don't have a contract on record for those. And this contract is different language than what you've had, so.
Can you just express the difference in the clause that their attorney has continued to remove from the contract?
Well,
let me just preface this by saying, this is nothing against the ability of the ambulance corps. It's nothing against the people in the ambulance corps. It's just we need to protect the town board and the taxpayers in the town regarding this. And I'll have Mr. Nugent explain the aspect of it.
Yeah, so initially the issue arose with the ambulance corps was merely a matter of putting into the contract that, you know, from the opinions from the state controller, the town is responsible as the entity contracting for the ambulance service to town residents to account for the fees that are collected. Not that you would receive those fees, but you need to be aware of what is coming in fees to the town and through the ambulance corps. And the contract was always entered into pursuant to General Municipal Law 122B, which is what authorizes the town to enter into a contract with the ambulance corps. The attorney for the ambulance corps has taken a position which we disagree with, that because the town itself doesn't have an ambulance certificate, that you can't have access to that information or the fees. I mean, I'm not sure what his position is specifically, but it's that he is claiming that the reference to General Municipal Law 122B that's always been in the contract, and which is the authority under which the town contracted, that you can't contract under that. We disagree. We've looked at everything they presented. It requires a lot of lines to be drawn, and it really isn't what the law says, in our opinion. In any event, I don't think it's any real reason to, delay the contract. I think it could have been resolved. We propose leaving the contract as it was, and just indicating that they would provide the financial reports, which they were required to do anyway. And at the time this issue arose, the town had not, and there was some misquote in the paper about this that I had said supposedly that we didn't have the financial data, which is not what I said. I had said at the time the issue arose, we did not have the financial data. Mr. Martin then got that information. So the town did get the financial reports and should continue to receive those financial reports. And that's really the main issue, to account for that. So as I said, if you wanted to sign the prior contracts under the same language, we'd have no problem with that. But we would recommend that this contract doesn't even say under what authority it's entered. It removes it entirely. It doesn't even say under what law we're entering this contract. All it says is the ambulance has a certificate under the public health law. Well, that's great, and we know that, but we're not going to remove the authority for the contract from the language, and that's what's been done.
If I may just speak for a second, I'm Alan Glass as the treasurer of the Corps. On March 23rd, 2017, I had given to Christine Tucker our financials for 2014, 2015, and 2016. It was sent to all of you, and you were copied on it. So I just want to give you a copy of that.
Yeah, just to be clear, I'm acknowledging that when I said the issue arose, it arose in 16, not 17. And then we got that information in 17. So that was received, and there's no dispute about that.
Thank you.
No, just so you understand, and Brian, correct me if I'm wrong here, I'll try to preface this. So you're already turning over to us the financials that are requested through this clause, 122. Why, and maybe you can't answer it, why does your attorney have an issue with it being in the contract? And if you can't answer it, I understand.
No, I'll do my best.
Okay.
I believe that the problem falls within the wording that the ambulance corps would fall under the municipality. The ambulance corps is a separate entity. We're an incorporation. To really simplify it, the way I look at it is, it would be as if you were going out and hiring a plumber and trying to take over the plumber's business. You would hire the plumber, you would enter into a contract with the plumber, but the plumber remains the plumber's business. And our understanding of it is that by entering into it under that clause, we're acknowledging that you oversee us, and that's not the case as far as the incorporation goes. We hold the certificate of need for the town of Monroe. The town does not. It's our understanding that under the municipal law 122B, you would need to hold that, which some municipalities do, and that doesn't apply to us. We had a statement from the Department of Health, which also stated that they believe that our interpretation was accurate and that there's no need for that clause. It's not necessarily that we're opposed to it, we just feel that it's inaccurate, and to enter into a contract with an inaccuracy doesn't seem professional on our end. It doesn't seem to be necessary. All of the things that you've asked for have been complied with. I know I had put it in our article. Last year we met with the then town board on Halloween night. Many of the board members were not available. We put out another invitation. Tony, you came, you sat with us at the building. We put out our financials to you. You had the opportunity to go through, ask questions. You and Alan spent quite a bit of time together.
Yes, we did.
That offer still stands. You and I have had texting. We're good at it. We text a lot. We've offered to meet with you, no offense, lawyer free, so that we can just sit over coffee and discuss what is it that you're looking for, what is it that we're looking for, so that we don't end up in this situation. There's nothing I hate more than standing in front of you contractless. We've been this way for 2 years, and it seems, I would like to think that there's so many other more pressing things for you and us as well, that we could just get this over and done with.
All right, let me just respond real quick. Listen, This isn't, believe me, we don't want to have you here as well, all right? And we fully support the Corps and what you do. And I read that article when I took my paper out of the puddle the other morning and read it, and we realize how important you are to this community. That's not even in question. And we talked about mass casualty incidents and how, especially up in Valesgate, how with that perfume factory fire that they reported putting 4 or 5 people in a rig and bringing them up to the hospital. They were taking their own cars. It's crazy. And God forbid we should have something like that in this town. It would be, I think we'd be way ahead of the game with the Corps here. That being said, as a town board, you got to realize what we came into when we came on 2 years ago. Things were a mess, and we're still straightening out that mess. And we rely on the expert opinion of our attorneys, who have really steered us, haven't steered us wrong. They've been great. And so on this matter, they're saying that this falls under what we've always had in the contract, and now, for whatever reason, the attorney that represents the ambulance corps, and I'm not sure the gentleman's name or woman's name, is saying that they don't have to put that in, and it's not even a question of funding. We're not saying we're not going to fund, and we know that you've given us the financials, and the financials are fine, and that's in compliance with the state controller's office, what their mandate is. So really, it just comes down to the wording and why the attorney doesn't want to have that in there.
I'll say this, and that's the first time I've heard that you think this provision says we take over the ambulance corps. That General Militia Law 122B, just so you know and the board knows, says very specifically that the town may contract with any person, entity, organization. Doesn't say anything about taking them over. Obviously, if you're contracting with an organization, you don't supervise them. You're basically, in General Municipal Law 122, you are contracting out your ambulance services, in the town to the ambulance corps. And since obviously we're entering an agreement for some purpose, it's no different under this agreement. We're just contracting with the ambulance corps. So I don't know why, either the corps or its attorney thinks that we would somehow take over the ambulance corps. And you've been under the same contract for I don't know how many years with General Municipal Law 122B, and you never controlled or took over the ambulance corps.
The contract that we used to be under was written by the town board. In 2016, we did not receive a contract. 16, right? Yeah, in 2016, we didn't receive a contract. So in August of 2016, I stopped in, so Mary Ellen, and asked for our contract. We were told that the board preferred that the contract come from us. So we turned in a contract, which was very different from what we had ever done before. It had always been generated in the reverse. It actually does make sense that we would generate the contract, being that you are contracting with us and not vice versa. That is the first contract that was refused by the board, and we've been without a contract since. So we were asked to provide the contract, and once we provided the contract, we've never been able to resolve one. So I think that
So maybe you
feeds
should let
into
us
our
do it again and we can
confusion.
resolve it.
If you cross out 122B, we'll consider it.
Yeah, well, in fairness, you guys were here the night we came up with the issue. We said we wanted to just put language in there that there was an issue about accounting and seeing the financials for the purpose of the fees, and everyone said fine. And we put that language in and we sent it, and that's what got rejected. The town was willing to sign that agreement.
The
ambulance
As far
corps
as-
sat here and approved that.
Right. As far as turning over the fees, the financials, we have no problem with that.
It was done.
It's right. It's been done, and you'll be in receipt of. It's I just had to have this explained. It's the year 2017 because that just came to a close, but it doesn't get completed until after
18.
the year does.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So you'll be in receipt of them as soon as we're in receipt of the final.
In a few weeks.
Right, but now it's the ambulance corps, or should I say your attorney, that won't allow the language that was in there. The 122B had nothing to do with the issue that was raised by the town. That was an issue raised by the corps, and you guys won't sign the contract with that in there. That's not the town
Correct.
refusing that. Just so we're clear, that's not, the town was willing to sign that agreement for 16 and 17.
The contract that was sent to us from you, we are refusing. You are correct. We are refusing that.
Right, but I'm saying that contract for 16, you guys sat there and said it was fine. We put the language in, we sent it, it got refused. So I'm just saying.
You are correct.
The town didn't refuse it.
No, the town refused the one that we turned into you, and then you gave one in
We added one
return.
paragraph about the financials, that was it.
Right. You are correct.
Nancy, let me
So-
ask something. If there was something put in the contract that said that the town, in some substance, renounces any supervision, control, ownership, or anything like that of the ambulance corps, would that, and also in keeping with the section of law that allows the town to enter into the contract, would that, I mean, if that's the fear of where you're concerned, would that make you guys happy and put this whole issue to bed?
No, and in fairness, your attorney's not here,
I was
obviously.
just
You'd
going to
have
say,
to talk to him.
without
and
my attorney,
I don't want to put you on
yours
the
is sitting
spot.
next to you. Mine's not.
Yeah,
That's not a question I
No,
can answer.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'll say this, that, the town, I wouldn't have an issue if that's the concern. That's easy. I mean, we're not concerned with taking over, nor do we want to take over the ambulance corps. Whatever language that it needs to be in there, if that's the issue, then the ambulance corps can talk to its attorney and
I
we
think
can adjust that.
part of not so much taking it over as trying to take it over financially. There were in the contract that was given to us from you, there are numerous stipulations of finances that frankly scare us.
Well, you have to understand this, from our point of view. We're giving you money.
Correct.
We're funding you. And we have a responsibility not only to you, but we have a responsibility to the taxpayers, so that the taxpayers are aware, essentially, what is being done with that money. And I think in order to protect the town, that I don't see an issue with that language, and if the language can be drawn up so that you guys don't feel that we're trying to take over you financially, then I don't see why this can't be rectified. Listen, we've been willing to give and change over the last couple of meetings. I haven't seen, and this is not a reflection of you, I haven't seen your attorney budge. He's dug his heels in, and he hasn't moved.
I would
And again,
say that-
in fairness, I just want to say, he's not here, and I don't want to
No,
put you guys
I know
in a
that,
bad
but
spot,
it-
so.
it's
I-
frustrating for me.
Right. I
Well,
would
what-
say that that's kind of what attorneys do. He's
I'm pretty
he's
flexible.
He's holding our position.
I know, but he's flexible. He's negotiating. Your attorney's not negotiating.
Why don't we do this?
Go ahead, because I really don't want to stay.
No, and
I
I don't
don't-
mean
Why
to
don't we do
direct it
this?
at you, Nancy.
No.
Why don't we do this?
I'm not feeling. I'm
Why-
not feeling it personally at all.
Why don't?
Okay.
Why, yeah, because we know you don't want to be up here. And again, this isn't about you guys. This is about when I say you guys, I mean the core. This is about
Right.
just doing this from our perspective, just doing it right,
Right.
so that we're on good legal footing with the controller's office and state and everything else. So why don't we do this? Why don't the supervisor and our attorney and your attorney and yourself and Alan, why don't we get together and work this out once and for all? Sit down, so we're not going back and forth with emails and all this other nonsense. Let's sit down and try to work this out.
In all
Face to
honesty-
face, person to person, and let's just try to do
I
this
mean,
and
in
get it
all
done.
honesty, I would prefer to do it over coffee with
Okay,
just
so
a couple
so
of you.
so so
no
here-
attorneys.
So here's the deal.
Well, we can't do that.
We
Yeah,
can't
that's actually
do
gonna be
that,
best.
number one. And if you're willing to do that, and we're willing to put the language in that our council has just suggested, that says we don't want to take over your finances. We don't want to take over the ambulance corps, and you leave 122 in there, which has been in there in the past.
Right.
Then
May-
you could make that agreement tonight if you don't want to get the attorneys involved.
Well, I
May I
guess-
ask a different question?
Yeah.
Why does the town feel that 122B is so important? We've presented numerous pieces of information stating that 122B is not applicable to our situation. Your stand is completely the opposite. Could you explain to me why you feel that 122B is important for the contract? If we're contracting for services and you have already made the budgeted amount is set. We've never disputed the budgeted amount on either side. Everything from 2017 was paid accordingly. Obviously, all of our paperwork was in order because you wouldn't have paid if it wasn't. Why is 122B important to you to have in, as opposed to being important to us to take out?
Primarily, every memorandum or agreement the town enters would have in its provisions the authority under which it's entering that agreement. The ambulance corps' version and your attorney's versions don't have any authority. It just says the ambulance corps holds a certificate. That's not our authority to enter an agreement. General Municipal Law 122B is the law that says that the town can sign a contract with you to provide ambulance services to the town and its residents. But public health law, that section that's in there now, is just an identification. We could leave that in there along with 122B.
That's
but
the 130?
what?
Is that the municipal or general law 130 something?
I think she's talking about public health law.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Your reference is public health law, section 3001.
Okay.
Okay, that's nothing to do with the town or the town's authority to do anything. That's a section of the public health law that says if you want to provide ambulance service, you need to have a certificate. That's not an authority under which the town enters an agreement. General Municipal Law 122B specifically says a town may enter into an agreement with an ambulance corps, an entity, an organization, to provide services in the town. And that was always the authority under which they entered the agreement. Now, in simple terms, your attorney's view is that we can't even act under 122B because we don't have a certificate, but we're not providing ambulance services. That's why we're contracting with you. And that's where the primary disagreement came. But at the end of the day, what authority are we contracting under if not 122B? You know, that's not in the agreement that he's presenting. So all he's done is remove our authority to enter, and that's the issue we have.
Okay. May I ask you to call him? Stop the emails. Stop whatever the ignoring of emails. And I'm not accusing. I'm saying there are months that go between the conversations. We want to enter into a contract. It sounds like you want to enter into a contract. The only problem is the contract itself and the wording. We need to just get this done. All of this benefits no one. There are emails and there's lots of time wasting. And legal fees. This is not free for us, and I know it's not free for you either. We want to put it to rest. This is not what we want to spend our time doing.
Let me ask you, do you agree that based on our assessment that law, 122B, is just giving us the authority, to enter into an agreement? And if you agree with that, then you got to tell your attorney.
Yeah, Supervisor, I don't want to cut you off. I don't want to put them in a spot where they're
my law
asking
degree?
questions without.
No, I
the
know
attorney.
that, but
Yeah, I can't answer that
I
question.
think really what the question is that you can ask your attorney is there any circumstance under which whatever the language is that they will include 122B for the town's benefit as the authority to enter the contract, regardless of whatever else he wants to put in there to protect your money or your operation or whatever somebody may think, the town could do or looks bad or makes you worry, because there's nothing to worry about. We're not interested in that. But if that is the worry, is there any language he can add and leave 122B in at all? And that's, I guess, the question. Last time I spoke, it was no, but I'm just saying, to me, it's doable.
Because I think if you can get that settled, then we can settle it. But you have to get your attorney to settle that.
Right. I can speak with him, but I really think that at this point, if we can't just sit over coffee and we have to include lawyers, let's just let you two duke it out. There's nothing really for us to do.
Okay,
if
I'll ask him the question if that's fine.
I'll give you his phone number. I think that would be
I have it.
wonderful.
I'll
because-
put that question to him. That's a simple question.
Yeah, I mean, nothing would make us happier than to come back
Next
a week,
Monday.
a month, yeah, from now with a contract that makes both sides comfortable. And let us get on with our business, you get on with your business, because we've, for many, many years, had a very good relationship with the town board. I mean, going back, John, you remember when your mom was here. I mean, there was a time when the ambulance corps was afraid to work with the town board. We've worked through that. We've had a great relationship for years, and I feel like we're stuck on one very small piece that's losing the big picture around it. And we would like to just move past that.
All right, so we'll let them call. We appreciate you. We'll let our counsel call, talk to your counsel, and hopefully we can have an answer by next Monday. Okay? And we appreciate you being here. And I don't know if I told this story already, but I will tell the story.
It's a great story.
We had, in October, we had an injury at Smith Clove Park where one of our players was hit in the helmet and was concussed extremely badly.
Severe.
Nancy was the one who responded. I will tell you that the care and the concern that was given to him was beyond anything I had ever seen. He had to be helicoptered out of Smith Clove Park. Nancy looked up at me, and I knew it was bad just by the look in her eyes. And I don't want to name his name, obviously, but there was a little bit of no feeling in one of his legs. And I've never seen that, and it was probably one of the most devastating hits I had ever seen in all the years I've been coaching. So he was helicoptered down to Westchester Medical Center. He recovered,
As did his jersey.
as did his jersey, and that's what I was getting to. So the funny part about it was, and there had to be a funny part about it because it was a very trying experience. Nancy looked up at me, and she said, "I got to cut his jersey off." And I said, "Okay, no problem." I said, "Just do me a favor, cut it along the seam." And then she looked up at me again. I said, "Please do me a favor, just cut it along the seam." So she proceeded to cut the jersey along the seam as best she could. And I explained to her why I wanted her to do that. And that week, Joe Mancuso from the Park Commission, who was a tailor, sewed the jersey back together, and we presented it to the young man when he got home from the hospital. So I thank you for that little bit of care and concern, which was a monumental thing for the young man. So you deserve a round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Text
All right.
me.
Thanks.
All right. I'll text you. Okay. Public comment.
Dan Burke?
Please remember that we are sticking to agenda items regarding public comment.
One of the things we were talking about was the budget. I heard a lot of money discussed. As you're looking forward to having the highway department handle water, that looks like that might be a good idea, especially if you carefully assess how much it's going to cost. The same thing could be done with the Moodna Basin Joint Operating Commission. They take care of three or four little sewer districts here in Monroe. You could ask the highway department to handle that. If you talk to your engineer, the engineer could probably do a dollar assessment on how much it would cost for the highway to do it, rather than having it done by a commission and a group of people you have no control over. I think the money lost there is substantial, and I think you should consider that. I didn't hear the theater on the budget, but I know you have. I'm always looking for comparables. I saw Sleep Inn up in Route 208, Blooming Grove. It's 40,000 square feet. It cost them $11 million, which is $275 per square foot. Of course, we bought the theater down there for something like $30 a square foot. But if you take TMAC's 29,000 square feet, multiply it, that makes the value of TMAC at $7,975,000. So I keep bringing these figures in so that we have a good background on if you're ever negotiating to sell the building, you want to know how much it's worth, and keep these in mind. I'll record them at some point. I'll give you a list of everything that I've come across. I might compare. And I had mentioned previously the Citizens Advisory Commission for the theater. I'd love to volunteer for that. I'm sure Mike Egan would. He and I have different ideas of what the financing of the theater is, and for us to be sitting down on a commission together might be very good. We might be able to work a few things out. Consider Lorraine. She's a fan of the theater. There's a lot of ideas that she has about it. And I would wait until after March 20th in the village election and invite a couple of members of the village board of trustees to sit on that commission also. Because it's in the village, it's part of their comprehensive plan. They should be talking with the town about the future of the theater. All right, and then also at some point I'd like to get to hear what happened to the solar farm. That was an opportunity to save large amounts of money for the town, and somehow or other, instead of being built, it hit a wall, and we were in the dark. The citizens don't know what happened, and then if this company's not going to do it, start the negotiations with a new company and get it done. We have the property there, and the study's already been done. You know how much money you can save on it. All right, thank you very much.
Next speaker.
Lorraine Loning?
Hello, Lorraine Loning, Village of Monroe. For the past few years, I've listened to citizens cajole the previous town board to have a one-person, one-job policy. I've also listened to citizens talk to the previous town board about the inequities of hiring from an inner circle of cronies. And I've also heard many requests for new positions to be advertised. And these are all very sound principles that I fully support. The question is, do you? At the January 22nd town board meeting, after you came out of executive session, this board unanimously hired Anne Marie Morris to be department head for both the boathouse and Mombasha Park. This position comes with a $5,000 stipend. First off, Anne Marie already has a job with the town. She is head of the senior center. To me, that's a violation of the one person, one job policy. Second, Anne Marie is on the board of Smiths Clove Park, a board that you were affiliated with for many years. And based on recent appointment, it's a pool where you like to fish. So Anne Marie is part of maybe what I'd call an inner circle. And lastly, can you confirm if this was ever posted or advertised? Now, I want to be clear. I am acquainted with Anne Marie, and she is a lovely, awesome person. This has nothing to do with her character. And while I don't go to the senior center, by all accounts, she runs it extremely well, and I've only heard good things about that. This is not about the person, and I'm sure that Anne Marie is up to this task, and she would manage it expertly. But this is about principles. I think the optics of this hiring are very bad, and maybe you don't care. When the previous town board engaged in these practices, it prompted an outcry from citizens. But now, nobody. This makes me think that perhaps it wasn't about a principle with the previous board, but maybe it was about personalities. It seems that it's okay if the right people or your people are benefiting from this. If that's the case, then this was never really about a principle, just about people. In my opinion, adhering to principles dependent on the situation or who's benefiting diminishes this board's standing and credibility. And geez, it took less than a month. Thank you.
Tracy Shu?
Before you start the clock, I might have misunderstood. Did you say that public comment is only on agenda items?
Yes.
Okay, because I wasn't quite sure all these were on that. Then I guess I'm not going to be able to talk about what I wanted to say because I don't know what you talk about in litigation when you go into executive session. And I wanted to talk about the latest news of the Henry Farms plaintiff against the town. I don't know if this board is aware. Some new members may not know that the concerned residents have been arguing about the environmental issues that were overlooked on that project for over a decade. So it's not about who's going to live there or who said what to whom on Facebook. I feel that the lawsuit is a misdirection, and I submitted a letter back in June last year pretty much summarizing some of the environmental issues because I would dispute the plaintiff's claim that there are administrative issues that were left to be dealt with and as I said, final approval, which is just not the case. And I'm just hoping that you will consider those issues. I will obviously be writing to you again because I only have limited time here to talk to you about it, but I just wanted to let the public know that there were always environmental issues. This project is next to the old unlined landfill. This town would be taking over a new water district that is going to be sucking water 200 feet from that landfill, and I think that that's something that needs more consideration than the court deciding that. And I'm hoping that this board certainly stands by your decisions with changing your zoning and your regulations because you're our last chance to address all the things that were missed over the years. And I just hope that you see this through the end. And because there's more at risk here, this project is like none of the others. And sorry, I just wanted to just...
Take your time, no rush.
Well, I want to just point out that this case, you have to use common sense because, look at what the water issues in Newburgh. I mean, it's a lot harder to fix a problem than it would have been to just protect it in the first place. So I think this project needs some looking at, and I'm hoping that that's what's going to take place here and not the courts deciding without looking at the environmental issues. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sharon Shear?
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello. Okay, so since we're talking about articles, I don't know if this is, I'm allowed to speak about it, but there was an article in the paper about the beavers. Do you remember? Okay, if you didn't see it anyway. So here's the story about the beavers. The beavers lived in Monbassia area for over 40 years, and they did put a park up there about 10 years ago. I do not dispute anything that's happening. I do not dispute that beavers are stinkers and that they're eating trees up there, but I have solutions, serious solutions. Also, I have free, I'm trying to, right now, we contacted the Humane Society of the United States, and he gave us some recommendations and a packet of some ways that we can work with the wildlife, and I'm going to hand you a bunch of stuff. I did online also put 2 petitions up on the trapping, which I find is just a little bit harsh. I think that if we could go a little softer on the beavers, I'm going to pass you some stuff real quick, so if I can't finish up everything I want to talk about, that at least you'll have it. So here's the petition that I just have. There's 500 signatures. This is some artwork that can be done to the beaver stumps, and I actually know artists that will do it. This is a letter from the Humane Society from the United States Paul. There's many copies here for you to look through about his letter and solutions for beavers.
Thank you.
I know my time is limited. I also approached Home Depot and Lowe's and asked them if they would consider, because the trapper offered to remove the beavers for free, and I, on my side, in the beavers' defense, would like to find a way to solve these issues without having to kill them. And then also, I just did research and found out that when you remove beavers, they tend to, the next year, they never overpopulate, but the next year they do tend to increase their numbers. So in the long term, it's a short-term solution, and I've been researching long-term solutions for you. I wrote letters to Home Depot and Lowe's and asked them if they would consider donating some of these items. We need to place tree guards around the trunks of the trees and galvanized metal wire. And then there's a solution that you can use with paintbrushes and exterior latex paint and commercial grade masonry. You paint the bottom base of the trees, and the beavers come along and they hate it. They don't like the texture of it, and they leave it alone. So I want to leave these all for you as well. One is to Lowe's, and one is to Home Depot. And my little organization in Monroe is called the Monroe Environmental Watchdogs. And I have a letter to both these companies offering to donate, asking them to donate these products to the town of Monroe for free. So you have a trapper doing things for free. I just want to help you for free as well. So here's a bunch of letters. You can just go crazy.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And at the end of the day, Tony and I did have a conversation, but you know what? It was after I had accidentally met a trapper, and I've never met a trapper in my whole life. I accidentally went to the town park and physically met him. You have an animal rights activist that ran into a trapper. It was not a good thing. Very bad. We did not get along. It was very upsetting to me. Here's some of the petitions. Some of these are local. There's 500 signatures online, and these are locals that you can look
All right.
at.
Hey, ma'am, can I ask you to wrap it up because you're at your time, please?
That's okay, I will. Okay, anyway, I asked Home Depot and Lowe's if they would donate it to the town of Monroe, but I am, on behalf of Monroe Environmental Watchdogs, asking, out of the kindness of their hearts, would they consider helping using non-lethal ways to help the beaver issue at the town park. And I do understand that you have a licensed trapper. This is, the DEC is, totally agreed to do this with you, and I don't dispute any of this. I just want to see if you would try to work with me a little bit. I did so much research in the last few days. Beavers are
We got to ask you to wrap it up because
They're-
you've gone over.
An integral part of the ecosystem.
Thank you.
And ducks and geese and deer all benefit from beavers. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ward Brower?
Okay, great. Okay, great. Are you
you.
leaving those signatures for us, or no? Is that a copy for us, those signatures? No,
No.
the petition.
I don't, he already has a copy of that. But this is artwork that I also, just one more last thing. The stumps that are already there, I have a Guatemalan artist that's interested in coming up and possibly turning the stumps into artwork.
Okay.
So if you were.
Okay.
like,
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Slow the roll, because if we kill the beavers this year, they're gonna come back angrier next year.
Thank you.
Sounds like a commercial. Ward Brower, private citizen. Again, I urge the town to return the department reports to the annual or to the monthly agenda. And the perfect example was the ambulance corps. If we continue to, remember it was, this is a code name, it was Harvey Doyle's administration that got rid of those monthly reports. And as we just saw in the exchange back and forth between the board and members of the ambulance corps, if you did that every month, you could get rid of these problems in a smooth transitional way instead of letting them compound going after month, and they go year after year, and it irritates a lot of people. So, that was one of the promises made 3 years ago. We're going to undo some of the mistakes that the Doyle administration made. And if you could do that, I think that would be a plus. It's been, as I said, it's been a staple of this government long before most of you were even born. So we ought to go back with tried and true. And there was a quote here about taxpayers. That is the taxpayers' money, those departments. And the public should have access to what's going on. And the people, it also is a double-edged sword and also a plus. It gives the members of those departments a chance to explain where they're going with taxpayers' money, and it gives the public a chance to say, hey, oh, it's good, yes or no. It works, and it had worked well. Unfortunately, it disappeared about 4 years ago or more. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's all.
That's it?
Yes.
Does anybody want to respond?
Do you want to start, or you want?
Good. Well,
You want to go first hearing? Ladies first?
Oh, ladies
Yeah.
first, all right, thank you. To Mr. Burke, yes, hopefully with the future possibility of highway taking over water, there definitely could be savings to the taxpayers. I don't have enough information about Moodna. I've never gone to one of their meetings, so I don't know if that's a viable option, if highway could also do that as well. Solar farm, again, I don't have enough information. I know the comptroller has mentioned something to me, but I don't have enough details. I'll have to look into that further. I think we should advertise more for some of the jobs that the town is posting. I know in years past, we've done stuff with the Conservation Commission, because that one is always hard to fill. But maybe, yes, Lorraine, we should do something with the other boards as well, especially come November, December, when some of the terms are going to be expiring. People should be getting involved at that point. Henry Farms, can't probably say anything because that is in a lawsuit, unfortunately. We will have to leave that to the lawyers to determine. The beavers, if we protect all the trees, what are they going to eat? That's the only thing I don't understand the whole life cycle with them. And Mr. Brower, yes, I think all the reports for all the departments should be coming back. We'll have to discuss that amongst the board again. All right, those are my comments. Thank you.
Mr. Burke's comment about Moodna and the town not having any control over it, or as Mr. Burke well knows, is there are two representatives from this town that sit on that board and do have control, a voting voice on that board. What happens down the road with that commission and that district is a matter of whether the county would take it over, not the town taking over its part. There's a component to it, as you know from sitting on that board, that's not just about sewer pipes. There are we have to provide septic services. There's a whole bunch of other things that go with that. Pump stations. It's a much more than just simply sewer pipes. All right. So there's a lot. The lot has to do with it, as well as the amount of sewerage, which we were over, that goes into the county plant. So last year I made a motion to form an exploratory committee to look into perhaps turning over or merging with Orange County Sewer District Number 1. The other commissioners on the board did not go for it at that time, but it's something we will try to bring up again. Lorraine, last year we had, I can't even think of the gentleman's name, we had, because the boathouse is seasonal, someone took it over. It was a mess. And the guy was, I forget where he was from out of town or whatever. It turned into an absolute mess, all right? The hiring, from the get-go, it was just a mess. So if this was a full-time position, then I'd be, yeah, we should be doing that, or even a part-time position. But this is a seasonal position, and having a current town employee that we know is above board, is going to do a fantastic job, like you said. I mean, again, I agree with you. Full-time positions, cronyism and all that stuff. That stuff that went on for years. This isn't about that. This is about a seasonal position of having someone that can oversee what's going on there. Last year was such a mess. I think it was a smart move and an economical move on our part to have someone that we know we can put in there and take care of that. So it's not more of the same, and I respect your opinion for what you're seeing it or saying it is, but that's not what this is. This is totally different. Tracy, again, and Mary hit on it. I think the actions of this board has spoke for itself with the stance we've taken with the developers in town, and we're not afraid to go to litigation if we feel that we're on the right side, and we've got great attorneys, and I'm not saying that just because Mr. Newton's here. I'm saying it because we do, and we're, we believe we're on, sound legal footing, obviously, and we're going to go forward with whatever we need to do. Sharon, lifespan of beavers, 10 years, not 40. I understand what you're saying, but they have not been there for 40 years. They may have been there, but it's not the same beavers. All right? Oh, there you are back there. Come on in. That's okay. Listen, when you talk about painting trees and doing that, that's great, but you're talking about painting a whole forest of trees. Well, just listen. Even if you did the ones just around the lake, you're talking about doing, they'll be finished. You got your chance to talk. Now it's our turn. You're talking about doing potentially hundreds of trees. You can't do hundreds of trees. That's how many trees they took down in this short time span. There were 4 beavers, 4 that have been taken out of there. All right, and that the trapper feels was a good control number to keep us where we are. There's a season that runs until April 10th. We feel that we're good up until that point. We may have to do additional traps before that time. Listen, none of us want to go kill wildlife. We don't. But just let me finish. None of us want to do that. But you know what? We also have to protect the town property. And we also have to realize, listen, there are natural predators that are not keeping this all in check. It is an ecosystem, And unfortunately, we're stepping in as part of that ecosystem to keep it in check, Same with the deer. I mean, listen, everyone loves the deer, but we don't like the damage they cause. We don't like the damage they cause on the roads with vehicle accidents. And yeah, they were here first, but we're... All right, well, it's been a number of trees that the town... All right, ma'am, please. You had your chance, all right? I'm not here to engage in a back and forth with you. I'm just answering your questions. If you want to speak afterwards, I'll be here. There are trees that we put metal wraps around, and those are trees that the Conservation Commission and town planted that have been protected. So... And the last thing, you say, well, I was angry when I confronted the trapper, and you know, that's your right to be angry or whatever. But that gentleman had the authority to be on that town property, and you didn't. And you purported yourself to be a town employee, which you're not. So as angry as you might be, breaking the law is not a reason to do that. So I advise you in the future not to do so, go on town property and trespass and approach people and purport yourself to be a town employee. So listen, I'll talk to you afterwards, and we're not, this isn't a back and forth, but you brought up a number of things here, and I'm just responding to what you said. And ward monthly reports definitely should be submitted by I know some of the people, some of the department heads do, and that's something that should be submitted.
Okay. Mr. Burke, I don't know if you've been out to the solar farm lately. Construction has started. It started about a month ago. Unfortunately, we hit a snafu with the contract that was initiated by the contractor, so right now we're in a little limbo with that. Lorraine, with respect to Emery Morris, she's someone that is extremely accountable, has worked in parks for approximately 12 for 14 years on Smith Clove Park Commission. Yes, I did sit on the Park Commission with her, and yes, I hold her in extremely high regard for the job she's capable of doing. As far as us appointing someone who presently exists in the town, that was also done with the prior regime when we unanimously approved Mrs. Tucker for a position on the bar board. So it's not something that we have been against. You claim that it prompted an outcry from citizens. Well, so far you're the only citizen that has stated that and understood and respected. But it's not something that is, just been done with this board. It was done 2 years prior to with other members of the town. So there's other members that were currently employed by the town that did receive stipends in additional positions. As far as the Beavers, I know that, did she leave?
She left.
Okay. So I know that Mrs. Shear had represented that our trapper was able to sell the pelts for $350 a piece. That is farthest thing from the truth. We did a tri-state area study, and the range of pelts for beavers in the tri-state was $10 to $12. He has no intention of selling them. He has ceased trapping as of today. As Councilman McGinn stated, there were 4 beavers trapped, 2 large, 2 medium. There were 2 females, 2 males. The damming of the pond has risen a foot, and presently in some areas it's less than 15 feet. All traps, like I had said, have been removed. He will visually monitor over the next couple of weeks as trapping season extends through April 7th. There's definitely beavers still there. I have personally seen them, and we are not eliminating them. We're just reducing the numbers. It's done, as we have stated, under the guidance of the DEC. And we also did receive a letter from the Conservation Commission, which was in favor of us and the procedure that we were undertaking. As far as some of the methods that she had mentioned, those methods don't necessarily work in New York State, and there are some ramifications when you do use those methods. So we have done more work, I think, on any topic, and I know I personally have, researched a lot on this, and I will tell you that as far as Mrs. Morris goes with the park, and I'm not just pertaining to the beavers, she's probably put in 60 hours outside of her 9 to 4 here at the senior center. So if anybody feels that that stipend is not justified, you're totally wrong. It was something that we saw fit, and once the boathouse gets reopened, it's also going to be even more justified. So I take offense to anyone that comes up here and tries to claim that we're doing it because it's a friend. No, we're doing it because it's someone who's extremely responsible, who has proven over a number of years, more than a decade, that they're capable of performing those duties, and someone who will perform those duties to the highest ability and standards which we expect. So Ward, I do agree with you with the department head meetings. I did have some conversation briefly with, I don't remember if it was Councilman McGinn or Councilman Scancarello. My thought was to place all the department head meetings online so that people can view them ahead of time prior to the meeting, and then if they had questions or concerns, then they could address them at the next meeting. So we are in agreement with that policy, and that's all I have to say. We do have to approve, we need a motion to approve the hiring of possibly up to 3 TMAC rec aides. So, I mean, I'll make that motion to approve 3 part-time rec aides for the TMAC. We are in the process of losing 2. We'll bring the rec aides down to 8, not including our 2 members who are kind of oversee things, Justin and Blanca. And also 2 of those individuals do not have the ability to perform register operations. So it would bring it down.
I'll second it for discussion.
Okay.
So I understand that you met with the management staff?
Yes, twice today, and I think the last meeting was not this past Friday, the Friday before.
All right. And you've worked at reducing the hours?
We have worked out reducing the hours. The hours were reduced the first week of Black Panther by 24 from what was originally submitted, and then last week I believe they were reduced by 12, which includes up till Thursday.
Okay. And you're comfortable with the requested allocation?
Yeah,
of 3 part-time.
I'm comfortable with it. I think it's important that there's some flexibility.
Hey, folks, can we just quiet down for a second, please?
I'm comfortable with it. I'm comfortable with the fact that it's as Councilman Scancarello noted. We're going to be getting into summer season. We have spring break coming up, which we're adding 2 showings for spring break. So I think it'll make, George, correct me, is it 18? 17. It will make 17 because right now we're down to 15 because we canceled the early one on Monday. Okay, so it'll make it 17 showings during the week.
All right.
And that's only for the spring break.
Right, the two additional showings.
Okay.
So.
Well, I think 3 part-time employees is justified, so I'll make motion that we hire 3 part-time.
Well, he made the motion.
Oh, then,
I just seconded for discussion.
Oh.
That's right, sorry.
Okay.
This is going to be subject to all paperwork's in order and
Correct.
And will we place an ad to say we're looking for part-time employees in the paper?
Yes. Yeah, we've done it in the paper. It'll be put on our website, and they will conduct the interviews. I will do my best to be there when they conduct the interviews.
Okay.
So,
All right, great.
Good.
all right. Call the question?
Aye.
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 Okay. So moved. If there's no other business,
I think we discussed, I have to make a motion to authorize the town engineer to.
oh yes.
To do an engineering
Study on highway drainage.
on the highway drainage in the garage.
Okay. So you're making that motion?
I'd like to make that motion, yes.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Councilman Scancarello. Any other discussion?
Dollar amount?
Not to exceed
3,500.
3,500.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Thank you.
Call the question?
Aye.
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 Aye. Aye, aye, aye.
Aye, aye.
Okay.
Aye, aye, aye.
We have to go back to approval of minutes.
No, they
We're-
didn't.
They
weren't
didn't
ready.
finish,
Yeah,
okay.
they weren't
Because
ready.
we're going to table that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
What's that?
Did not adjust number 5.1.
Rules of public comment?
Mary Ellen?
Rules of public comment is there because then that's where public comment gets added in.
Yeah.
You will always see the rules for public comment on it. Yes, that is the adopted, that's the version. You'll always see it on every agenda. That was adopted,
It was adopted, I believe, in 17.
February
February.
2017,
And amended
2017.
in March of 17. There was an amendment to the one section about what you could speak on, I think.
Okay. Call the question for adjournment? Well, did somebody, I'm sorry, you made the motion?
I made the motion.
Second?
Second.
Call the question?
Aye.
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 Okay, so moved. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Okay, want to thank everyone for attending the February 26, 2018 Town of Monroe Board meeting. There are 2 exits behind you, and there is 1 exit behind us to your left, your right, our left. Could everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Councilman Colon has to depart a little early, so I would like to go over a couple of items. Then we will go into executive session early in the evening. First item on the agenda for old business is a road dedication for Forest Road. In front of you, you have the actual layout. The yellow highlighted area is, let me put it here. Right. Is the area that will be dedicated to us, and Mr. Nugent has verified the boundaries on it, and it is just a portion of their property that will be dedicated to the town. Anybody have any questions?
Yes. Did we get any report from Mark Etzel or John Sherney regarding the condition of the road?
Mr. Shirley?
Nothing from Mr. Edsel.
Well, he had reviewed the dedication documents and
Yeah.
the meets and bounds, and it's not actually, I mean, it's actually a portion of their parcel that's being dedicated. It's not the road itself, but according to where the property lines are on the site plan, it looks like, in other words, it overlaps the existing roadway. So they're dedicating just the strip of land about 25 feet wide along Forest Road that abuts their property. So the town could widen the road if it chose to do so.
That's fine by me.
But it's not actually a dedication of a roadway in the typical sense.
It's an expansion in a sense.
Would this have to be included in the revised town street map?
No, again, this is not a dedication of a roadway. The roadway's already there, and it is a town road. This is a dedication of a parcel of private property to the town that's basically equivalent of a right-of-way, 25-foot strip of land alongside the roadway, but on the site plan it does show part of the pavement is in or on that parcel.
That's all.
Little.
Can I ask a question? Do we know why they are giving it to us? Or who's giving it to us?
My understanding was to allow the town, if they chose to be able to widen the roadway and to give them, you know, the right-of-way along there. I'm not sure what the discussion was in the planning board. It came out through the development process on the site.
That's fine by me, Mary.
Okay. All right, thank you. That answers my questions.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the parcel/road, well, let's say parcel dedication to the town of Monroe.
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Colon. Any other discussion? Call the question.
Aye.
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 Okay, so moved. Second item, the lake contract, management contract for Round Lake. We've been in touch with Solid Lake Management. Mr. Nugent has reviewed the contract. Everything is pretty much the same, including the chemicals, as it has been for the last two years. Pricing was relatively the same as well. The only thing that's not included in the pricing is the mailing that the town needs to do to the property owners surrounding the parcel. All that has been prepped, and that will cost somewhere in the neighborhood of 600 and change, because everything has to be return receipt certified. So I would like someone to make a motion regarding the approval of the supervisor to sign the contract.
I'd like to make a motion, we authorize the supervisor to sign the contract for the Round Lake management contract.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion?
Who seconded that?
Sal.
Sal? Any other discussion? Call the question?
Aye.
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 Okay, so moved. Two other items, Rick, then we'll go into executive session.
Sure.
Smith Farm Water District is going to be discussed in executive session. 4.3 under new business, the senior center meeting room application. There's been some changes in the policies as per our director, and essentially it was just updated to include a couple of aspects that were a little vague. One of them being the all dates, the top one, all dates for organizations. Well, it was revised to be moved to the top. It says all dates for organizations are conditional and contingent on absence of conflict with town business. So if nobody has any issues without anything else there.
I have a question.
Sure.
Supervisor. Down at the bottom, town of Monroe reserves the right to request a $50 deposit be forfeited, may be added to the cost to incur items of cleaning. We had imposed once before a fee, and now it is going to be just a deposit in case there has to be any cleanup, correct?
No, we have a $25 fee.
$25 fee?
Yeah, so
Because is it on here?
I think it's
It's on the first page.
on the first page down below left.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Then the
It's on
$50
that-
deposit is just to be sure that everything's left in the proper condition.
It's at the top as well, under application for use of meeting room. It says there's a $25 non-refundable fee for use of the room.
Okay. I just thought I didn't see the other part. Okay, thank you.
So I'll make a motion to approve that,
I'll second it.
seconded by Councilman Scancarello. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. John, you want to discuss the certification training class for the highway department employees?
Okay, I'm just looking to get approval to send 4 employees upstate New York to get water certification for Class C water operator. That would include their class, which is $500 a person, and their room fee, which we're not sure what the room fee will be yet. And I'm just curious if the town actually has a credit card that we can book a room with, or do we have to go PO for that?
Yes, we do.
Okay, very good. So,
Whenever you need it, just
yeah, and that's
call.
going to be held in May, and I think it's vital to the operation of the town of Monroe Highway, and I think vital to the water districts as we look at them right now.
Yeah.
And based on the direction we're going, there's going to be a substantial savings to the town.
Oh, I can't see how it couldn't be.
Yeah.
You know, I'm talking.
We're talking tens of thousands of dollars.
Oh,
A lot of
absolutely,
money.
absolutely.
Excellent.
And well, all due respect to everybody that was involved, the quality of service, I think, is going to be a little bit more prompt, at least.
All
Yeah,
right.
Okay.
okay. So you're looking for approval to send them their, the course and lodging.
And I believe whatever the meal values are for that
So for a C certification, it's $1,065
Yep.
per person.
No, for all.
For all?
Yeah.
No, can't be, John.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's with room and everything else. Yes,
Yeah,
I'm
that's with
sorry.
room.
I apologize.
That's with room and board
Yeah,
and
you're
meals
looking-
per day.
Yes, correct.
Right, okay. So we're looking at $1,065 per man for four men from May 29th through June 1st.
Correct.
Okay. And then, is somebody going for the D certification as well?
No need to.
Okay,
No, you're better off with the C. The C is what we need to, for the people that are on the water districts themselves.
okay.
I believe it's less than 1,100 people or something to that extent.
Okay, so I'll make a motion that we send 4 men from the highway department at a cost, let's do this, at a cost not to exceed $1,200 per man,
Yep.
okay? For 4 days from May 29th through June 1st.
I'll second.
Any other discussion?
I think this is a very wise investment that we're making on the part of the town, so 100% for it.
Okay.
Yeah, I concur with Councilman Cologne's,
Assessment?
assessment there. We've spent hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of dollars over the last 2 years that I've been on this board, and God knows how much before that. So I think it's time to get this back in town hands, and I think with we've seen highway in action, certainly up in 12 with the New Year's Day water main break, and know that we'll have help from the surrounding highway departments and DPW. So I think this makes a lot of sense, and in the long run will definitely benefit the taxpayers.
Okay. And I think there's gonna be a lot more control for the town with regard to who is out there, what they're doing, costs associated with repairs, because it's essentially kept in-house and not through a contractor. So I think we'll be much better off with that. So without any further ado, call the question.
Aye.
Or-
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, so moved. I'll make a motion to go into executive session to discuss possible litigation.
Anything else?
We might, we have to discuss,
Personnel?
personnel, yeah.
And a refuge,
And what?
garbage.
Garbage, yes.
I'll
Okay.
second that.
Seconded by Councilman Cologne. Call the question?
Aye.
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 Okay, so moved.